everybody. Welcome back to the Growth Formula. Today, I have with me Danielle Maur. She is an amazing business coach who teaches online entrepreneurs how to get more sales. And I originally met her at the Legacy Mastermind, now known as the Edge Mastermind. And she was just such a wonderful and kind person. Whenever I was sort of struggling with something, she wouldn't even wait for me to go up and ask her. She just came to me and helped me out. So I'm so honored to have you on the podcast. Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you very much for having me. You're just an amazing person. You're so easy to walk up to and talk to.
Thanks. All right, so I guess one of the first things that you always talk about is making the offer on sales. When you're talking about sales, talk to me about that. Like, why do people feel stressed about making the offer and how can they get over that?
It's probably the one thing that we don't do. So, we have a service, we have a product, we have an offer. And when we build it, we get so excited. We tell everybody we're building it. We tell everybody what we're doing. And then all of a sudden, we go to talk to our prospect and we get so caught up in serving that when it comes time to make the offer, right? Everybody feels silly, icky, salesy, and we just don't make the offer. We skip it. And it's the number one mistake that people make because they don't really know where to transition. They think that what they're doing is putting themselves on sale. So if they get a no, it's a no to you and not a no, not right now to the actual service or the product. So we need to kind of separate ourselves and we need to keep that excitement of when we first started this journey and what we built. And just like you told everybody what you were building, this is no different. But in our head, we make this more complicated than it should be. We make it more than what it is. And then we think we're not ready. We're not ready to make it. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And we're always searching for things. And we're not just getting to a part where if you and I were on, whether you call it a discovery call, a strategy call, a coffee chat, whatever you want to call it, sales call, that we help people. And then we don't transition. We got to get to the transitioning part and you got to know where it comes. And it's easy to transition if you make it easy. But if we make it hard here and make it more than what it is, we avoid the things that make us uncomfortable. And it's us making ourselves uncomfortable, not the person on the other side of the phone or the video or sitting across the table from you.
When you said attaching the no to like making it feel like the person's rejecting you instead of rejecting the offer, it reminded me of how people are very shy to ask people out on dates. They're like very scared of that rejection. And when you make the offer, you have to be ready to be rejected, multiple times a day. Otherwise, you just can't succeed as a business owner.
That's right. And there's a reason for this world that we're in. One, if you worked for Nike, right? And you were in a store and there were all the sneakers, right? You're selling a product. You didn't make the product. You didn't design the product. The product has really nothing to do with you other than it's sitting on the shelf and there's someone looking at it. So you walk up and you tell the features and the benefits and oh, wait, you play tennis? Yeah, that's a tennis shoe. That's actually a really good tennis shoe. And this is why. And if they don't want that tennis shoe, no harm, no foul, you walk away. But what catches us up is that we are the inventors. We are the creators. We made this. So there's a piece of us in there. And that's where we start to say, well, wait a minute. Now I'm telling you about something that is my service, a part of me. So of course, if you're going to say no, you don't like me, you don't find value in me. And it's no different, honestly, than the sneaker. The only difference is you didn't detach yourself after you made it. What you made is incredibly cool and important and will solve someone's problem and you're going to help them. But you're so attached to it that you're putting your identity where you wouldn't put your identity in that sneaker. So we need to get to that part as coaches and consultants and business owners so that people are looking at the value of the object. It's not about you. It really is not about you. We just make it about us. And you're right, very much like dating. But in dating, that kind of is us. That's kind of a no to us. So let's not even think about it like dating. You may have created the thing, but you are not the thing. So take yourself out of the equation because what you built is amazing because you put all the effort into it. But that's not a no to you. There are a million reasons why people say no, and it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. Maybe they did something in the past that didn't work, so they figure they're going to fail again. Maybe they're afraid to invest in themselves, so they don't give themselves permission to invest in themselves. They don't find themselves that valuable, right? I'm a mom. You ever met a mom or a parent who will give everything to their kids? Anything and everything, to the point that they don't buy anything for themselves. They don't take the one day for the spa or to go on vacation. Everything is for everybody else in the family because they put themselves dead last. It's a habit.
Yeah, but
knows because they don't put themselves first. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna say that totally makes sense. You know, the reason they say no could have to do with a variety of things that have nothing to do with you. But it also could be if your offer sucks, if you pitched it bad. So detach from the result, but still keep trying to iterate and improve your offer and sales process.
Yeah. So you said something important. If the offer sucks. Now, if you just penciled something together, like taped it together, I don't know. Is it a good offer? Does it really serve? But if you know you have something good in your hands, it really comes down to the messaging. And maybe you're just not being clear on the messaging. I'll give you an example, and then we're going to talk a little bit about messaging, because I think there's some important things that people need to remember in sales and in this business, right? Because we didn't wake up and say, "Oh, I can't wait to be a salesperson." I didn't. I mean, I was a top executive at a $4 billion company. When they said, "Hey, would you like to step into the sales role for a little bit?" I was like, I'd rather chew my arm off. I don't want to be a telemarketer. When I became a coach online, a business coach, I didn't think about, well, you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to find leads and you're going to have to close them, which means I'm going to have to sell at some point, right? I just wanted a coach. And that's why we got into it. And that's why this part doesn't feel aligned with many of us. But here's the thing. In messaging, right, you may not set yourself up in the right messaging. So if you go, let's just say to someone's having a challenge or a virtual event and they're in there and they're coaching and they're so excited and you're like, yeah. And then they go, so if you think this is going to work, or if you find any value, I have an offer. What happened? What happened to the confidence? Where'd you go? You became mousy. That's not the moment to be mousy, because now I question what you're offering me. And so many of us do this in this moment, in your messaging. You are not sold on what you have. So you jinx yourself. So your messaging can be off, and the way you present it with your confidence can be off. And those two things can jinx you.
I was going to say, like, they don't only get quieter, they're also like, and if you don't feel like it, it's okay. I'm sorry I'm selling them. Yeah. They apologize for it. They like, it's okay if you don't want it.
I get it if you don't want it, right? It's like, what happened? This was so amazing. And then it's like, wah, wah, like Debbie Downer, right? The wet blanket. No, this is your moment to step forward, because you need to be excited, because if they don't buy your offer, there can be no transformation. You don't get to walk with them and help them. And if what your offer does is truly to take somebody from here to here, then you should be excited and enrolled in it all day long. All day long. So this is not the moment. So our messaging needs to be really clear. Now, how do we get messaging clear? And how do we set ourselves up for someone to go, yeah, I want that. Tell me more, right? Because that's what we want. First of all, not only do you need to be enrolled in your own offer, meaning like the service that you provided, do you truly believe in it? And I will always say that everyone, and I believe this from the heart, everyone has the right to win, including you. So one exercise I tell people to do is to sit down and write down, what is my right to win? What is it? What's my right to win? What do you want to win? Why do you want to win it?
What is a right to win?
A right to win means that, okay, I want to serve 1 million people and help them build their online businesses. That's what my right to win is.
Okay.
I have the right to win because I have the heart, the integrity, I am authentic, and I produce results. That's what I'm designed to do. This is who I'm truly meant to be. And therefore, I will always hit people a home run and constantly break it apart to figure out how to get them to where they want to go. From wherever they are, I meet them exactly where they are and take them to where they want to go. Because that dedication is there, and it's not just, yeah, you know what? I'm going to make $50 today. I'm going to make $1 million today, right? My intent isn't off. That's my right to win. If I let them go to someone else, maybe they don't get the same results and their dreams don't happen. And that would break my heart. That's my right to win. I'm invested in people.
That makes a lot of sense.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying that makes a lot of sense. Keep going.
So if you know your right to win, you know what you want to win, you know why you want to win it. The next question is, how do you want to win it? And what are the next 3 big steps you can take to put yourself on the journey to go win that?
I love how your first 3 were not the how. Your first 3 was like what, why. What was the second question?
So it's what, why, what is it that you really want to win? Who do you want to win it for?
Oh, who, right.
And then how, what are the next 3 steps? And notice this one. I didn't say, what are the next 52 steps? What's the whole process to win? I said, what are the next best 3 things you can do?
Yeah.
The moment we go for something bigger, we get lost. You see, this is where our messaging starts. We need to know that we have a right to win. We need to know what is it that we want to win and why do we want to win it and who are we going to win it for? And that comes down to your who. I will always tell you that you need to dig deep. It can't be for everybody. Go deep on the who and know who they are. Why? Why would I want to do that? I mean, like, oh my gosh, I can launch businesses for a ton of people. That's not it. I need to know the one person, because the one person can represent thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. We don't need millions of people sitting in front of us to have a business and be able to transform lives. We need a handful. When we know that exact person, then our messaging comes in, right? They're tied. If it's for everybody, I'm vanilla. I'm bubblegum. But let's be honest, if we walked into Cold Stone Creamery or Baskin and Robbins, 52 flavors, you don't want 52 flavors. You know which one you want. It's the same thing with the who. And if I understand my who and I understand their languaging, not mine, then I can start creating what I need to tell them. I need their languaging. Example, true example. My husband is Irish. Okay. The number one way to get a divorce from my husband is don't give him potatoes. Irish love potatoes. Okay. So if I say I'm cooking lamb tonight, honey, what kind of a starch do you want? Is a potato a starch? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not what he's going to say. He's going to say potato. So if I want to get my husband enrolled in dinner, I'm going to say, hey, I'm making lamb and potatoes tonight. I'm using his word, his thing. I know that's a very stretched example, but sometimes we look for these really creative words that make us sound smarter. We think it does. And guess what? I'm not talking to my who. My messaging is off. They can't resonate. They don't go, that's me. So if I say to you, are you tired of feeling gross, icky, scared, uncomfortable making a sale? You'll go, that's me. That's how I feel.
And those are really simple words.
Yes, but if I use different words, you don't relate, right? Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm just saying that's super perfect in terms of using the exact words that your clients are using. And you can find those words by, going on Reddit, going on the internet, looking through Facebook groups, just wherever your target audience is, look at the words that they're using. And sometimes, they're probably not going to say, oh, I feel icky, but they might use, Because people like to, like, they might be thinking icky, but then saying something a little bit more complicated. It's a little bit of a detective there. And then when you use the word icky, see how they respond. If it resonates with them, you're like, oh, got the word.
Yep. And so when I use the words icky, I'm going to use icky for an example, right? Because it sounds like a weird word. It's not a word I use. Icky's not like, I don't wake up in the morning and go, ooh, that's icky. Like, that's nasty, right? That's gross, right? But I did exactly what you said. I went into different groups and I said, how does selling make you feel? When you hear the word sales, how does it make you feel? What do you think about? You see, you can ask those questions and get the exact wording. If there's one thing you wanted to learn about sales, what is it? And then you get a bunch of different comments and you look for the golden thread, and the golden thread is what keeps popping up, right? And therefore, that's their languaging. That's how they think about it. So if I'm going to call that person, I'm using those words. I'm putting it in my messaging.
For sure.
That's important. And therefore, I'm simply talking to you. This is how I like to do it. And I want everybody to use this exercise. So if we know our right to win, how about this? Let's just pretend right now I'm looking at you, right? We're in a sales call and I don't know you. You're a cold call. What I'm going to do for me is I'm going to visualize that you're my friend, which you are, but you're my friend and you're in my house. And we're sitting at my dining room table and I just made you a great cup of tea and we're talking. And you're telling me you have this problem, sales. And you know, as a friend, I want to help you. So I'm going to start telling you the things you need to know. You know something? I know this amazing program for you. And this is why I think it fits you. And I'm going to start using the words I hear you say, but I'm going to talk to you like you're sitting at my dining room table. I'm not going to get all, okay, I'd like to present to you an offer, because nobody resonates with that either. You need to really feel it from the heart. So look at everybody that you're talking to, whether it's in a camera, whether it's in a challenge, a virtual event, or one-on-one, they're sitting at your dining room table. What would you tell your favorite friend? And how would you present that? Would you get really mousy? No. You'd be like, damn it, you can't get a date? Are you kidding me? I know this person. I know how to solve that.
Yeah, think about how you recommend like your favorite restaurant or this movie that you love. You get extra excited when you're talking about it. You don't
That's
like
right.
be like, I saw this movie the other day which you might like. You're like, no. There's this really funny movie or there's this really action-packed movie, depending on what your friend likes. And then you just flowing with it.
Absolutely. And that inflection in your voice, instead of feeling like all of a sudden you've turned into a robotic hello or a mousy person, is what gets people to lean in, because that's your confidence in it. So if you can recommend that movie and you can recommend that restaurant, why can't you recommend what you created?
But you created specifically for people like them.
You created to help them. Now's the time to help them. So instead of thinking sales, this is your moment to help them. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you told me this. You know why? Because I just spent the last 6 months putting together the most easiest course for you so that you can learn how to sell people just like you. But I want you to have that because I know this is going to help you. I'm leaning in, but instead we're leaning out, right? All of a sudden you see this in the camera and they're gone. Why? That's not doing you a service and you're not helping anybody and you can't make the impact. You got to sell yourself first, and it comes in messaging. Know their language. Believe in what you have. Know you have a right to win. A right to win, if I say that right. But also make the offer. And it's not, it used to be $997, but right now it's only $249.99 for a limited time. This is not what you're doing. You're not the infomercial. Get excited, just like you said, like you're sending them to your favorite movie. Oh, you want to go laugh this weekend? Oh my gosh, if you don't go see, same thing. Why do we make it so complicated? Why do we make it so difficult? Why do we think this is so horrible to do? It's not, and it's not about you. What if your friend said, yeah, I'm not really into that kind of movie? What would you do?
So, okay.
There you go. Did you go home and cry and you're not worth a bean and you threw out your business and you stopped going to movies?
No,
Would you
you just be
have
like,
maybe another option? Or just say, all right, no problem. Next.
yeah. One one thing I want to go back to is a little bit earlier when you were talking about your right to win. You said, the what, who, why, and then you said the how. And Tony Robbins talks about the tyranny of how, where if you try to start with how do I do something, you don't know how because you've never done it before. And so you're just going to get like frazzled, or you're going to be like, well, I don't know how. And you're right, you probably don't know how. But if you start with the reasons behind it, you'll then find a how. And I also loved how you said, what are my next 3 steps? Because you probably don't know the way to the entire thing, right? If you did, you would have already reached those goals of yours. But just getting those next 3 steps will then put you on the path to do the next thing. You'll get some data based on how those 3 steps go. You can then iterate and then take your next 3 steps and just keep trudging forward until you eventually reach that big goal. So I love that framework of yours.
And I'll tell you what, if you don't have 3 in your head, what's the next one thing you can do? Because I will tell you, as a business owner, they reveal themselves as you get going on the road. And I promise you, if you keep searching for what you should be doing, there are a million solutions. There are a million strategies out there. And it doesn't mean that some of them are wrong, but it doesn't mean all of them are wrong. But what you really want is the one right one for you. For you. If you don't like building funnels, don't build them. There are other ways. What's the one right thing for you that you could take a step forward? The key to success in business is always taking a step forward, even if it's a mistake, because you're going to learn. And I say, when you fall down, and I've fallen down a lot of times, I've lost it all. I've gained it back. I didn't know what I was doing. Then I saw what I was doing. I promise you, you will bounce back if you choose to bounce. You will win if you choose to win and you take a step forward and you keep walking forward. So if you don't know 3, and I always say break it down so it's not a big mountain. Don't try to eat the whole cake at once. Let's take a bite at a time. Let's start with 3. Along the way, you could be in your first one and look at the other 2 and go, those 2 don't fit. I'm doing these 2. It will reveal itself. Just trust you. Trust the process. Trust your journey. Your journey is unique to you, and you're on the path. That's amazing. Most people don't even take that step forward.
Yeah, and I love how you say just keep trudging forward. I saw this quote from Alex Hormozy where he talks about how entrepreneurship is not about being smart or anything like that. It's just about, can you keep going through a whole bunch of thinking of the word for shit, sorry. Can you keep going through a whole bunch of nonsense? Oh, sorry, what was that?
Yeah. Obstacles?
Yeah. Can you keep going after hitting obstacle after obstacle after obstacle and seeing no result, and you just keep trudging through? Like that's really what creates a successful entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have 3 steps, take 1 step. If you don't know the next 1 step, what is a step that'll move you forward? Just something that'll keep pushing you towards doing more and more. And it'll help you get more data so you can iterate and improve and get yourself on the path to reaching your goals.
1,000,000%. And you said something really important there that I want to pull out, because this is so true. And this is what stops people in their tracks in the online business world. You said, one of those coaches had said, can you continue when you don't see results? Okay, what's the first thing we have a hard time seeing results for? Social media, right? We put something out, we're all excited, we think it's the best, and I'm going to use your word, shit that we've ever put out. Oh my God, did you see that video? This is the one. I can feel it. And you put it out, and there's not a heart, there's not a thumbs up, there's not a comment, there is nothing. It just goes out into the abyss. And so you do 2 more, and it's the same way. And you do 5 more, and it's the same way. And you know what? Here's the difference between entrepreneurs and not entrepreneurs. The real entrepreneur keeps putting it out because they trust it's being watched. They trust it's working, even though they can't see it working, and it will come back to them. And here's where the proof in the pudding is. I can put out a bunch of social media and for a long time. And even today, it depends on what it is. Crickets. If I had given up and taken that as my sign that it's not working, go home, Danielle, pack up your bags. Nice little dream. Glad you thought you had the right to win, but you don't because no one's watching. Do you know that I can show up? And this is the spooky part. So I promise you, if you don't believe in you, trust what I'm telling you. I'm telling you the truth. I can walk into a mastermind. I can walk into an event with 1,500 people. I can go somewhere here in Atlanta where I live or Miami, doesn't matter. And all of a sudden, people start walking up to me. I know you. I watch you. I love what you say. I've been waiting to meet you. And I'm like, what? Where are you? I don't know who these people are because they don't say anything. So know that what we put out is being watched. Just because someone's not saying anything, some people like to watch on the sideline and not get involved. When I first walked into the room that we met in, it was like, we know who you are. I'm like, how do you know who I am? What? Huh? So I'm telling you, it really happens. Don't, just because you can't see it, like the mentor said, doesn't mean you're not gaining traction and you're not on the right track and you're doing the wrong thing. That's not a sign to quit. It's a sign to keep going.
That makes total sense. And speaking of, these masterminds and big events, you also talk a lot about networking. And not only networking at these big events, you also said wherever you go to the gym, grocery store, farmer's market, go ahead and network. You never know where you're going to find your next client from. Where is the craziest place you've gotten a client?
I just got one. And it was a $10,000 close. So this is a true story. I've been in racket sports, and I do own a racket sports company with my husband, and we've been doing this for, 30 years. And without saying my full age, way back when, I'd started a nonprofit where we were sponsoring kids to go through to learn the sport of squash and training them to go to Ivy League colleges and getting them in. So the person I was working with was 13. I sponsored him in 13.
Okay.
Now, this person has gone to college. We got him into Princeton.
Congrats.
Thank you. He graduated. He's gone off into his career, and out of nowhere, I haven't seen him in years, since he was probably 15, right? Bump into him working with in a major field with really, really big players, and boom, client, right? Would have never thought about it, but what I did way back when set in motion what happened today. I've met people in the library, right? They're just talking to them. And then all of a sudden it's, tell me about you. Here's what I love. And I'm going to teach everybody something to network. I'll teach you 2 things to network to make it so it's not like the old day of, here's my business card, right? People go like, I don't want to network. I'm introverted, people. I am very introverted. So for me to network, man, I'm putting my foot on my rear end and pushing myself forward. So to network, 1, have 2 questions that you always open up with. And in the United States, we love to ask, what do you do? Don't ask that question, because in Europe, we don't ask that question. Tell me about you. It's a better way. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a much easier way. When we say, what do you do? To a lot of people, you're sizing them up. That's a closed conversation. Tell me about you. So when I went to one event, there were 1,500 people, but they were all coaches. So I already knew they were all coaches. They were all either building a business or they had a business. The 2 questions I asked were this. 1, I opened up. Obviously, I asked them their name and I introduced myself. I didn't tell them what I do. We're not about me. Right? I said, in the last 3 to 6 months, what would you think is the most important thing or the most valuable thing you're proud of in your business? And I got a very long conversation, right? And then I switched it to the second question, which is, So if I asked you, I love asking this question, what do you think is your number one struggle right now? Getting clients? Bing, there I am. Transition. Well, you know something, oddly enough, I'm a business coach, and that's exactly what I do. Would you like to learn, would you like to talk about it a little bit more? I'd love to get you out of that spot. I would. Okay. So 2 questions. 1, I heard about who they are and what they do, and I celebrate them. And I really am listening. I'm listening because I'm interested. And then I learn about their struggle. And if I'm the right fit, boom. And if I'm not, I give them a referral, right? But the second thing that you can do in networking is please don't whip out a business card. Here's why. It goes in the garbage. People lose it, right? You're spending money and sometimes things change. Why? So I use a software that gives me a digital business card with my photo on it. And when they scan it, not only do they instantly get my information, but I get theirs. And that means I don't have to wait for the phone call. I get to put them into either an email sequence or whatever I want to do, send it individually. It was so great meeting you. And I get to take notes on where I met them and the 2 questions I just asked them. Oh, what? That makes it so simple. Meanwhile, everybody else I watch is writing stuff down, I ran out of cards. No, you never run out of the digital business card, and everybody has their phone. Welcome to 2024.
If I got a physical digital card, like business card, you want me to personally then take that, enter it into my phone, and then throw it out? Yeah, you're probably getting lost. Or if I show it in my backpack, I get it back like after the event, 5 days later. I'm gonna forget who that was. There's no way I'm remembering.
And if you go back, you're like, who's this? And what do they do? No. And even at that, if you got a business card and you weren't just passing yours out, you don't know, you're still waiting on them. And they're waiting for permission to contact you. We don't need to make things so difficult. And we don't also in networking, need to really start talking to people. It's just like, hey, I walked up to you, right? Like, hey, come here. And I introduced myself. I thought you were the coolest being in the room. I was like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. I got to go meet her. And that's how I generally feel when I walk up to people. I don't walk up to everybody. And there was a time where I couldn't walk up to anybody. If you walked up to me, no problem. Couldn't walk up to anybody. My husband's like a social butterfly. I mean, he's got a gift. So he must have kissed the Blarney Stone in Ireland. I didn't get the chance. I wouldn't kiss it anyway. But I now walk up to people and introduce myself. And because of the 2 questions, it cuts that awkwardness of, what do I say? What do I do? Instead of, have you ever walked up to a group that's talking and stand there smiling and you don't know how to get in it?
Yep.
So you kind of fade away. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like an idiot. Me too, all the time. But now with 2 questions, and I know what my questions may be, tell me about, oh my gosh, tell me about you, or tell me more about that. That sounds amazing. You just find a way to connect and you start talking like friends. I just look at you like we've known each other for 10 years.
That's awesome.
That's networking.
Sorry, was it?
That's networking.
That's awesome. One more thing that you talk about, or one more thing that I've seen you do really well is you also go and speak on big stages. How did you get onto your first stage? And if you've gotten a paid speaking gig, how did you get that first paid speaking gig?
Okay, so I first started speaking because of my last company. And we had tough stages, meaning investors, board of directors, hundreds and thousands of people. Like you were just like a kid. You want to learn how to swim? Here, toss you in the pool. I had no idea, right? So you had the PowerPoint and I literally used to vomit in the back of the stage, mic'd up it was awful. It was awful. I'd be shaking. I didn't want to hold the microphone, right? But that's how I got started. And then I stopped because I hated that feeling. But once I got back into coaching, I started speaking again, and I started speaking more in virtual events and taking those stages and then creating my own stages. And I look at it so different than the way I used to, right? And I've stepped up on physical stages too, because I did the Great American Speak Off with Pete Vargas, and literally out of 28,000 people, I got the golden ticket twice. I went all the way down to the semifinals. And and for that, they were filming for TV. So you would go in, they'd be filming you, and you'd be put through all these wild scenarios. And you want to talk nerve-wracking for somebody who can say a word wrong. I was like, right? But I look at it differently now. So for anybody who wants to step up on a stage, any stage, stages can be podcasts, stages can be a virtual event, stages can be lives in Facebook, stages can be a physical stage, right? Let's just change the narrative of what a stage is. Here's what I know. For those of you who say, I'm afraid to be seen, I've got some really hot news for you. You ready? Every time you walk out of your house, guess what? We see you. You've been seen from the moment you were born. So get over it. We see you. So now you know that you've been seen, and you get seen every time you go to the grocery store, you walk outside your house. When you went to school, and you speak, and you spoke in public. Oh my goodness, how terrifying. Now, I look at it as I get to go out on the stage and have a conversation with people, just like you're sitting at my dining room table. And if I had known that and not made that stage this big, hairy, scary monster under my bed, I would have walked out. I still would have been a little nervous with the lights. Don't get me wrong. I still have butterflies, but I would have been more at ease. So how do you really get into speaking? Start doing it. How about host your own virtual event? How about just starting lives on your Facebook profile or LinkedIn or wherever you want to show up on social media, and just start talking in the camera? Look at the green dot like they're your friend for the last 20 years. And just start talking, and you'll realize, look, I don't always love what I say, but I know I don't script it. I just talk from the heart. I just know what I want to talk about. I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. This isn't scripted at all. What we're doing right now. So just start there. Then run your own virtual event. Get on a podcast. Get on a couple podcasts. That doesn't mean you have to have your own podcast. Just get on podcasts. Then go local and ask maybe your small business administration, hey, you guys have a bunch of business people. If that's what you do, can I hop up on the stage? If you're insurance, go find a seminar that's doing insurance. Ask to speak. Make sure that what you have will serve that audience.
I love how you're saying ask to speak.
You're serving. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, just saying, I love how you're saying ask to speak. Don't wait for them to invite you. Just send out a bunch of emails and someone's going to take it.
No one knows who you are when you're standing in your kitchen alone. You got to get out there and tell people what you do, why you do it, and why you're a great fit for them. How you want to serve that audience.
I love how you... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go right ahead.
I love how you also said that just going live or being on podcasts or hosting your own event, just do stuff that's like a lot smaller, but in your control to build up your, I want to say speaking muscle. Have you talked to Lori? She was on the podcast a little bit a while ago, and she talked about those same things too, and building that speaking muscle so that you can get better and better at it. And then I've also noticed a lot of the big speakers do have a pretty big social media presence, and they do build up their social media, and that's probably how they get a bunch of their speaking gigs too. So it helps you in terms of building up your speaking muscle and then also getting those paid speaking gigs down the line.
Yes and no. So they didn't start there. They built those audiences because they put themselves out there and they told people what they do. And piece by piece it's stacked and it built an audience. So it just helps them get the bigger stages. But I will say this. Most speakers on the big stages, so if you were to speak on Tony's stage, chances of you making sales, if you're on a smaller stage or your own stage, meaning like a virtual stage, the smaller the audience, the more probability you convert, the more probability you connect. Whenever I run mine, and I've run, oh my gosh, I've been on in just a year and a half, 86 stages.
Wow.
Probably 50 of them mine, right? My own personal ones that I built. I don't like what I call the cattle call. I don't want millions of people. I don't want thousands of people. I don't want hundreds of people. You know what I want? I want 25 at a pop. Why? Because like this, I get to know you. I can ask you questions. And now I understand where you are and I can meet you where you're at. And then as friends, I could tell you how I can help you or tell you that I can't help you, right? And then I convert. The whole point on being on stage is not just getting an audience, right? Fans are great. Followers are nice. Buyers are better. If you want to have a business that you can continue to do what you do and not have a hobby.
Yeah. But buyers have to start somewhere. You know, you build up your social media following. And I think I might have not explained this right earlier. I was also saying that the people who get on those big stages with the big social media platforms, the social media is where they started, just on their own stage, posting stuff, getting stuff out there. And then people liked it. They grew bigger. They got those big stages.
Yes.
But anyways, people started out as followers, just fans, followers. And then as they got more accustomed to them through their content, through whatever else they were doing, they then turned into buyers.
That's right. Yes. But somewhere down the line, they turn into buyers because that person asked for the sale.
True.
Right? Or else they're just watching. There's a difference. Okay, let's go back to your dating analogy. Right? We meet somebody and we friend zone them. Why? Because we're always hanging out with them. They're a great person to hang out with. They make us laugh, but that person never asked or moved it into a different direction. So we could do social media and we could just say things all the time in social media, and it may be the best stuff ever. But if we never asked for the sale, we just friend zoned ourselves. They go look for the solution now because you made them problem aware, and they go find somebody who says, I can solve it for you because you never told them you could solve it. And that doesn't mean every social media needs to be buy, 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 buy. We do need to provide value. We do need to build something with our audience, our people, our followers, but then we do need to ask for the sale.
And you also talk about on social media, making it clear what you do. And I think one test you had was ask a friend to just visit all your social media platforms and then ask them what they do and see if they're able to tell or not. So how do you make it very clear what you do on social media?
Okay, so if you've ever had any training today on social media, it is obviously the hook gets them if it's a video. And I love video because I think video allows people to see and hear you than just read it, right? So I'll start with the hook. I don't start with, hi, I'm Danielle Maur. That's not the hook. You're like, yeah, right? You want to learn how to close a sale in 3 easy steps? Now I got your attention, right? And then I may say, why do we make sales so difficult? Why can't it be simple? Why aren't we keeping this simple? I'm going to show you 3 things. By the way, I'm Danielle Maur, and I'm a business coach for coaches. So let me share those 3 things with you. What did I just do? The whole video is about selling for coaches, helping you convert. I told you my name. And I told you what I do. Now, at the very, very end, I may say something like, if you want a free download, or if you agree, or if you think I forgot something, that's a great way to get engagement. Ask a question for them to participate by saying, what else would you say are 3 things? Put it in the comments below. I'm asking the buying thing. But before I make that last call to action, I'll say, again, I'm Danielle Maur, and I'm a business coach for coaches. Now, I'd love to hear what you have to say. What are your 3 things? Put them below. Let's share knowledge. People get involved.
Yeah, and especially if you're saying, hey, what's something that I forgot? People love to criticize others.
Absolutely. Well, they want to engage. They want to be part of it, not talked to. They want to be talked with. It's a conversation. So think about, what do you do to start a conversation? You're starting it with a video. How do you get them to respond in the comment? And do you go behind them and continue the conversation? That's how we build rapport. Now, I'm a great cook. I really am. There are people who call, can you come cook for me? I've cooked for events. I mean, like, I'm a great cook. But what you don't see on my social media is me giving recipes and cooking. Why? Because it would be, what is she doing now? Is she a chef? Did she switch her? I'm confusing people. So everything that I do supports who I am. Right? And I'm going to say one thing. For me, this is how congruent I am and how authentic I am. And this is something to take in consideration. When I tell you that I'm a business coach for coaches, that's not my job and it's not my career. It's who I am. It's in my DNA. I love helping people succeed. And that's truly who I am. I've always been a leader in business, teaching others how to thrive and survive and be successful and make their dreams come true. It's who I am. It's not what I'm trying to be. It's not a job. So if I was at McDonald's and I was the cashier, that's my job. That's why when I come across on camera and everybody else watching, you need to decide, who are you? Is what you're doing who you are, or is it a job? Is it just a way to make money? Like, when you talk about what you do, when I first met you, you light up because that's who you are. Just because you make money out of it doesn't mean that it's a career or a job. It's who you are. And that will come off on all social media, on every stage you step on, and everybody that you talk to. So we want to know more. And that is when everything, including your messaging and what you do, you're serving from a different place. That's so important. That's what makes your social media work.
I suppose it goes back to the right to win and like the why behind it. Having that strong, compelling why will lead to that passion in what you do.
Because if your why is just, I want to make money, there's a million ways to make money.
Yeah. Starting with robbing a bank.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure. If you want to take the consequence of that, right? But we can go get a job to go get money. But if we want to serve somebody and ask somebody to trust us and walk with us, make it who you are, part of your DNA.
Why do people struggle with posting on social media? Why do they, maybe feel a little hesitant about doing it? And how can they overcome that?
Oh, okay. A lot of people just don't like the way they sound and the way they look. They're being overcritical about themselves. And I'm not immune to it. When I grew up, I was a model. And you'd have everybody come and say, and you take the photos. And while I was taking the photos, I felt awkward. I mean, I was like, good face. I don't know. Good height. I don't know. And then when I would look at it, I'd see a million things I don't like about me. I could never look at a photo. I could never look at a video and say, oh yeah, I look good. I'm constantly ripping myself apart. I'm my own worst critic, right? So if I smile, see that? I'm going to point it out. I call that my Chucky chin, like a puppet chin. It's like, no one else sees it until I point it out, but I see it everywhere. But that's what people are doing. They're afraid to be seen, which is why I say, get over it. You're seen every day. You're beautiful. What you have to deliver is important, and someone needs to hear it over what you're worried about what they see. I'm older. I'm in my 50s. I'm the same age as Dean Graziosi. I'm 55. Okay? I don't look like I'm 20 anymore. But people still come to me and hire me because what I have to offer, they need. And I'm saving them where they are to get them to where they want to go. So what are you doing? And why aren't you showing up? To get over it means you need to stop focusing on you, and you need to focus on the person you want to serve and the help and the impact that you want to make. Got to get over it. And to get over it, you got to start, and you just got to start somewhere. Start on lives, on your social media. When I took clients through this is what I did. I told them to set up a Facebook group and invite nobody. Why? Because that's your playground. And all I want you to do for the next 30 days is to sit there and post every day a video where you're sharing knowledge about what you do. The 1 tip, the 2 tips, never more than 3, right? And do it 30 days straight, and you will figure out your messaging. You will get so comfortable, you'll actually miss it. Now, I took a whole group, and I am part of mastermind.com. Dean threw out a challenge, 30 days of lives. So I don't know what I did. I just said, hey, ladies, let's go. Let's make sure we roar in this group. And I had about 15 women, and more women started joining, where if you posted, I would also come in. I wasn't selling anything. I was there to support. I wanted people to get out of their own way. And I would just say, amazing video. And I'd send them, they'd send me a DM and they would tag me, and I'd say, I loved it. Make sure you're looking at the camera. Make sure the light's not behind you. It's in front of you on your next one. And I will tell you, the people that didn't want to go do this and be seen, the moment they missed a day, they do 2 the next day because they missed it and they never stopped.
That's wonderful.
So you got to just get out there and do it and make it a habit. Right now, it's not a habit. It just feels funky. It feels like you're wearing Cinderella's slipper and it's not your shoe size.
It's funny how earlier you were saying, I'm not young anymore, but people still hire me. You have that like, oh, maybe I'm too old thought. But then people who are young and more like my age were thinking, oh, maybe we're too young for this. Mm-hmm. And so everyone has different insecurities and they can be contradictory. Like sometimes you have straight people who are like, oh, all the good guys are taken. And then, or all the good guys are gay. And then sometimes the gay people are like, oh, can't find someone who's gay. It's too old, too young. There's just so many contradictory objections, and everyone is just getting in their own way.
Absolutely. And how about this for a mind twist? How about we just stop deciding for other people? How about we just let other people decide if I'm too old or too young, or, my nose is crooked, or, I have dark circles today and I'm not going to talk to you because of it. Instead of me making the decision for people and just not showing up, just go out there and be you. Because there are enough people who are going to love you. Stop making the decision for others and then hiding and not making the impact. Let it go. Let it go. Those bags are heavy. Put them down and just be you. Don't change yourself. Be you. I'm going to share this one thing with you because I think it's actually kind of a cool thing. So I celebrated my birthday December 2nd, and I was sitting there with my daughter, who you've met, and my husband. Now, I asked them at different times. I said, what is it that you most love about me or admire about me? And I asked, I think 2 other friends too at one point, and they all said the same thing. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter where you show up. You are you. No apologies. You don't play the chameleon to go fit in. You're just you. And that's the lesson. I don't decide whether or not maybe you're going to like me or maybe you're not. I'm just me. And if you don't like me, then we're just not meant to be. So what? Move on. Next. I'm going to find a lot of people who love me. Stop deciding. Be you everywhere. Don't be a chameleon. Be you, and people will love you. But if you decide they don't, then they don't in your head.
That's wonderful. And, you don't live in reality. You live in the reality that you create. And so if you think that people don't like you, that then becomes your reality. What's true or not doesn't matter.
Yep. And you'll talk that way. You'll present yourself that way. That's why you see some people, like I sit with my shoulders back. Other people will slunge forward, put their head down, mousy. Don't look you in the eye when they talk to you because they've already made a decision about them. They're not worthy. They're not good enough. They're not pretty enough. They're not smart enough. They're too old to, you're absolutely right. All of those things come out. Just be you, right? Put those damn bags down. Stop dragging them through the sand.
All right, Danielle, thank you so much for all the brilliant wisdom you have provided everyone. Where can they find you and where can they work with you?
So I'm going to give you my LinkedIn because I really show up there a lot, starting a live show there. So you're just going to go to LinkedIn and look up Danielle Maur, DanielleMaur, and you'll see me there. There's a place to book. But again, if you are stuck on sales and you're making it more complicated and you don't know how to find leads and you don't know how to close them, I just released a course that's amazing. And I say that because I've been through a lot of courses, folks, and this is everything I wish I had when I first started. I did it with an amazing partner of mine, and it's called Selling Made Simple. And there's some do it yourself, and there's some done with you, and there's a lot of done for you in there. And it's super simple, and it takes all that feeling away. So you would go to dsquaredcoaching.com, and we're going to put the link. I think you're going to put the 2 links down below, right, in the comments. So just click on it and come meet me because I'm exactly who you see here.
All right, perfect. And we'll find all the social media and the course in the description or the show notes, depending on where you're checking this out. Danielle's partner in her Selling Made Simple course, Diane, is also on a different episode, which will be linked in the description too, in case you want to check that out. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And thank you, Danielle.
Thank you so much. I wish everybody the right to win.
Right to win.